Hello everyone, welcome to the chapter 3 of International Marketing. We're going to discuss the dynamic environments of international trade. Last time, we talked about the internal environment of firms that helps and contribute to the decision making of a company. For this chapter, we're going to assess the dynamic environment of international marketing and give focus on how these factors shape the marketing strategy of the organization by identifying these dynamic forces. Through this, organizations can integrate their strategies on this rapid changing environment. The outline of our discussion will focus on different international marketing forces, what are the changing phase of marketing, the types of barrier that affects the international marketing strategies, what are the effects of these trade barriers, and the importance of economic and political integration as a particular solution on positioning your company in international competition. With the advent effects of technology to the business, globalization become very dynamic. Consumer taste, laws, and regulations, so as political leaders, communications, and international conditions are all changing rapidly and dramatically. That is why for our discussion, our objectives are to understand the factors that affects international marketing, and let us identify the different types of barrier, how it affects the business, and how the company could be able to cope up with this dynamic environment. And let us determine the economic and political integration that contributes to company international marketing strategy. To identify right strategic response to changing environment, managers must be able to understand the impact of international trading trends and changes. Companies should know how to assess the different components of changes to make rational or right decision. Firms must know the rate of changes, complexity or elements of organizations, and how predictable environment conditions are. Managers will make assumptions on the basis of monitored environment. Failure to respond to the changing conditions of these results to a company the miss or death of business. For example, Nokia was a market leader, starting in 1998, but failed to respond quickly to the emergence of smartphones. And in 2013, Microsoft bought Nokia handset for 5.44 billion or 7.3 billion dollars. Okay. First, let us clarify what is dynamic environment. Dynamic environment is a critical environment or situation that affects firms' decision making to develop effective and efficient international marketing strategies. So these are the challenges in developing and implementing successful international marketing strategy, like changes, development, political issues, or economic integration. So those are the specific example of dynamic environment. Particularly, these factors plays an important role in international marketing. For example, of the major factors in international marketing is global factors. So these are the challenges that are coming from PESEL environment: political, economical, social, technological, environment or natural environment, and laws. Example, the laws from the World Trade Organization, the policy that's coming from the World Bank. Okay, if you imagine that in 1946, the price of oil per barrel is only $21.20, but in 1980 and I think in 2015 it's more than $100 per barrel. But of course, it is for the factor of like uh, change of leadership, change of demand, change of the cost of the resources. So there are a lot of factors that affects this kind of price increase or currency fluctuation. Secondly is the domestic factor. So it pertains to local businesses or industry pattern of operation and as well as competition beneficial to the company. It relates also with the availability of resources to the local market that demand driving up or down of prices. More so, it refers also to personal or internal affairs of a country that uh, affects participations in international marketing. Okay, so how let's say how a country bind themselves in a trade agreements, okay, to protect local traders and consumers. Lastly, the organization factors. These are the internal factors that influence decision-making process of the company. So this includes the value system, the mission and vision, the organizational structure, the corporate values, the human resources, and the physical resources and technological capabilities. So this condition inside the organization can generally be controlled by the company and directly affects their decision making. What are these changing phase of marketing? Okay, so this change is inevitable fact of life in every business today. Finding solutions in coping up with these changes is a master skill sought after by the organizations. So every actions, if not well taken care properly, will leads to more costlier situation. Not all changes in marketing are significantly equal. Some of them are confined to a particular industry. So what are those changes? Number one is the dominance of the customer. The needs and wants of customer change from time to time. It is essential to understand these changes to be able to create suitable new products and services and a marketing plan to anticipate future customer. Yesterday's customers might not be available today. So you should be equipped with the right information to create a strategy. So nowadays, people are interested in use than ownership in America. So there's an annual rental income of $750 million. Okay, so this trend will affect the pricing, arranging sales appeal, and even characteristic of the product. So the more the customer will dominate the competition, the more the organization must be prepared to this kind of changes. Okay. Secondly, is the spread of marketing research. New information of customers' needs and wants are based on scientific knowledge. Okay? The marketing research and development plays an important role in developing marketing potentials and analysis of customer buying behavior and requirements. Okay? Research can find ways in how to develop best way of delivering product lines. Online shopping is the best example of this emerging channel distribution. So this marketing research helps the company how to launch their new products, how they're going to evaluate potential exports, and how they're going to achieve sales target. The third changing phase of marketing is the rise of computer. The development of technology or electronic data processing helps business in linking their products to the customers. Online communications and information retrieval system contributes marketing more efficient. Okay, example, Starbucks, they use Twitter, Facebook, or other social media platform to engage their customer in designing new products. I already given this example in the last chapter we're in. Through customer feedbacks, they were able to develop a product that is more healthy and materials that is more environmentally friendly. The third one is the global marketing planning or the global market planning. Okay, company decision to go international market change the face of marketing. Perhaps some country accept the idea, but some doesn't buy the concept. But going global now is unstoppable. Market entry like merging, licensing, direct exporting, greenfield investment, okay, are continually on the rise. So that's why you're enjoying a lot of foreign products here in Korea, and you are also enjoying a lot of accessible services of US here in Korea. Global competition among countries, industries, and firms drags some major trends in international trade. So these trends changes the strategic approach of every company. Number one is forced dynamism. Okay, so businesses are constantly pushing the borders of economic development, technology, culture, and politics that change global social context. When I attended a seminar in Korea, the speaker had presented how the urge of Korean government to be on the top of technological advancement, to be on the top of different economic indexes. Okay? With the goal to be number one globally, okay, it pushes okay, every country into a global competition. Secondly is the cooperation among countries. So nowadays, there are economic and political integration. Say they do that through treaties, international organizations, and consultation. Cooperation encourages eliminating restrictions on it by lowering tariffs and reducing regulations. Okay, so I think last year there was an APEC summit held in Busan. Okay, so there are some regional comprehensive economic partnership or the RCEP. There are also ASEAN membership. Okay, and also like at a specific action of Canada and Russia, wherein they add some additional routes okay, to Russia, to Canada, and vice versa. Okay, and some companies are sharing some satellite airspace okay, for uh, fast communication. The third trend in international trading is the liberalization of cross-border movements. Okay, so governments have this decreased restrictions the movement across borders of goods and services to give consumers better access to a greater variety at lower cost. Liberalization encourage producer becomes efficient competitors against foreign companies, and it could influence other countries to reduce restrictions if other countries will do the same. Like what China is doing, they are now renewing their trade relations with other country, but not with America. Still, it's still on the process of healing their relationship in terms of trading. The fourth trend is the transfer of technology. So when we say transfer of technology, it is the process by which commercial technology is disseminated. So this will be in the form of technology like artificial intelligence, blockchains, drones, and robotic financial technology invented by an organization or an individual, and they're going to transfer it to the government or to a bigger company for the wider range of use. So it happens, okay, to share skills, knowledge, method to improve the company production process. Okay. So with this transfer of technology, it concerns also with the consumer driven data privacy. The fifth trend is the growth in emerging markets. Remember, emerging market is a market that is starting to develop, or nation's economy that is progressing to become advanced through rapid growth and industrialization. So example, China, Brazil, and other parts of Asia and South America. So why is it important? Because emerging markets carry much higher risk than average investment, so which is potential for rapid economic growth and higher return potential. So that's why a lot of developed company or developed countries, okay, they invest money in emerging markets for they had seen a potential uh, return, a higher return on their investment. Okay, now let us try to interpret some of the statistical data, okay, from United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, or the UNCTAD. Okay, so let us get some of the key statistics and trends and that is integrated in 2018, because this data will help, okay, for the company to foresee, okay, what will happen on the next coming years. In figure 1, you will see the values and growth rates of world trade in goods and services from 2006 to 2018. Okay. World trade goods has increased dramatically over last decade, from $10 trillion in 2005 to more than $18.5 trillion, then fall in 2016. So you could see here. Okay. Um, in 2016, there's a fall and it rebound up to 2018 for 19.4 trillion. Okay, same in trade service from 2005 to 2018, about 2.5 trillion dollars to 5.5 trillion dollars in 2015. What's the reason why there's a fall and rise, okay, of this values of trade in goods and services? Okay, so in 2015, the oil price demand was decreased. The price is from $100 per barrel became $50 per barrel. It reflects the fall of commodity demand and appreciation of the US dollar rate. So there's a fluctuation of dollar rate and there is a decrease of oil demand in developed country. In figure 2, It shows the growth of volumes of trades in goods and services in the last 10 years. Okay, import volumes, okay, have been growing relatively more than export volumes for developing countries. Opposite happened in developed countries. So it is because of increase in consumer demand in developing country. So for figure 2A, okay, you will see trade volumes has slowed down, okay, in the last few years. So it's kind of slowed down here. And that's for 2015 to 2016 before picking up on 2017. Okay, when imports and export volumes grew at the highest rate since 2011. Okay, so you can see all major economies fall in 2009, okay, and 2015. Okay, so the weakness of trade in 2015 was due to economic slowdown in China. Okay, severe recession in Brazil and the falling price for oil and other commodities and the exchange rate volatility or fluctuation of US dollars. In figure 4, you will see the very large part of the world trade is clustered around in three regions. So you see the North America, okay, the Europe, and the East Asia. In 2017, the value of international trade flows increased in all regions, relatively more in the Middle East, okay, and African region. Okay, so you could see the width, okay, the thickness of corresponding lines reflects the magnitude of trade in 2017 and the nodes, okay, like the nodes, okay, it reflects the total trade for each of the regions. So again, the three major region increase its intra-regional relationship due to bilateral agreements and international trade positions. Okay, now let us identify the major dynamic environment of international marketing, that is trade barriers. Trade barriers are the restrictions brought by government to protect from domestic jobs cheap labor, trade deficit, dumping, and earn more revenues, which can also protect infant industries. So these trade barriers affects the limitation of choice of products, which lead customers to pay higher prices and accept inferior or poor quality. So what are the different types of trade barrier? Number one, we have the voluntary export restraints. It is limiting of exporting goods and services to other country. They are encouraging more imports by lowering tariffs or dropping quotas. Why they are doing this? Because nations want to reduce the chances that the importing country will set up trade barriers. Okay, it's like a domino effect. If Korea will reduce tax in all import goods from China, okay, and then China, okay, is going to reduce also tax in Korean imported goods. So it's like giving shield, okay, to the investor in exporting goods to other countries. So that is only a matter of give and take. The next type of trade barrier is regulatory barriers. Okay, so it refers to the standards that must be followed in other countries. Example, when you export your product, you have to follow a particular labeling. Okay, the product labeling. Okay, here in Korea, I noticed that imported goods, okay, must have a Korean label, okay, or a Korean description of the products, okay, specifically, okay, the standard regulation for pollution or hazardous product, halal for the Muslim, and kosher certifications, and it must follow the standards of intellectual property rights and other safety standards and franchising law. Okay, so most of them are local laws affecting the development, maintenance, and availability of goods and services in the country. The third types of trade barrier is anti-dumping duties. Okay, so it happens when exporting producers sell goods below cost on its home market. They are doing this to increase market share or able to get many customers and wipe out competition. But the negative side is that it can monopolize the trading, and traders can dictate price and quality of the product. Okay, a good example of the World Trade Organization policy. So there's an agreement of 5% rule. So it means that no markup, okay, more than 5% on standard trade to protect other traders. So these 5% are commonly in broker. Okay. Subsidies, okay? These are government financial aid to lower down costs of productions. If government offers subsidies to export goods, okay, it violates WTO agreement because it could jeopardize or cancel fair competition in the market. Last year, March 2019, the World Trade Organization finalized the case favored Europe, Airbus against Boeing of USA because Europe Airbus, okay, complained that Airbus, okay, received a financial aid from US government that leads their products, or that leads the aircraft being sold in the market in a low price compared to the European Airbus. Okay, and the WTO grant favor to Airbus because subsidy is illegal, especially in export products. Fifth types of trade barrier is tariff. So this is the given tax for imported goods. So they increase tax, okay, to lower down its consumption. Okay, here in Korea, don't you know how much Korean government imposed tax with imported rice? It's 513%. Okay, of course, to protect the Korean rice. It is no doubt that your rice is really delicious. I like Korean rice, okay? It's really have a good taste and a good quality, okay? And but not only increasing the tariff here in Korea to protect local, they are also in cooperation with the uh, zero, okay, the 0% program of World Trade Organization. Specifically, Korea, you have imposed from 5% tariff to 0% in cobalt sulfate products. So say, what is cobalt sulfate? Cobalt sulfate they use in making porcelains or pyoyashi, okay, and glass, okay, or yuri. Okay, so they use cobalt sulfate in making porcelain and glasses because they impose 0%. And lastly, quotas. Okay, so quotas is a restriction on the quantity that imports into a country. So it limits the volume size of goods, either in volume, okay, or in monetary value. Example, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. So they sets a production quota for crude oil to maintain its price in world markets. So it protects local producers against imported goods. Okay, normally they put a lot of quotas in terms of agricultural products, seafoods, vegetables, and grains. The last part of our discussion is how nations cope up with this dynamic environment. The answer is economic and political integration. It is a manner of establishing good relationship with others. They create alliances or tongmeng to favor in international trading, either by doing free trade agreements, giving them financial aids, or supporting them through foreign direct investments. Why do you think region wants to have an economic and political integration? Because integration or Tonghab can be an avenue for opportunity to ease barriers and find new markets. By this, it helps traders reduce costs, sell low price, and increase shares in stocks. What are the determinants, or how would you know, okay, that one country and another country has an economic and political integration, and we call it determinants? Okay, first is the common culture. Okay, so when we say common culture, they share the same tradition, they share the same language, they share the same food, and they have similar history. Example, America, they share Spanish as dominant in in religion and in language. Okay, here in Korea, okay, you share products. Okay, you can see a lot of products made in China in Daiso. Okay, and I think that Korean culture is from Chinese culture per se. It means that somehow the Korean culture is uh, originated from Chinese. Okay. Next is the history. Okay, historical dominance. They shared cultural elements among different people, like Russia, Soviet Union. They use language in Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia, okay, or in Ukraine, because before they are only one, okay, that's why they call it the Russian Soviet Union. Only until such time, okay, when they established the Warsaw Pact. Okay, so this Warsaw Pact is uh, friendly agreements, okay, among these countries. Okay, so they share the same marketing structures, state-owned enterprises, and large nationwide distribution. Okay, the third one is the regional proximity. Okay, so it means that no need of common border, but you can go directly into that country without visa. Okay, and effective transportation and communication system is greatly functional. Example, in Korea, you could see here the 9 countries. Okay, you can travel, without visa, as long as you're going to get a Shenzhen visa. Okay, and in Asia, you can travel like in Thailand, going to Vietnam, to Cambodia, or from Hong Kong to Macau to China. Okay, so no borders. Okay, but I think 2 years ago, China had implemented a visa policy. So if you want to go to China, you have to secure a visa for a specific country. Okay. And next is the economic and political consideration. So, of course, countries with similar development levels are more likely to create a successful common market. Develop to develop, okay, developing to developing countries. So those are some of the integrations. Okay. How they can integrate politically and economically. Okay, so how nation integrate with other nation. Number one, through bilateral or multilateral agreement. So it's more on partnership and agreement to reduce tariffs and other trade barriers. So we have North America Treaty Organization, Organizations for Economic Cooperation and Development, that is OECD, and then the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. Because so all of this level of regional integration only aims to loosen the restrictions of trade barriers. Okay, so next we have the free trade agreements. Okay, same with bilateral and multilateral agreement. For bilateral, it is composed of two countries. That is by two countries. For multilateral, it is more than two countries. Okay, so they're conducting also some free trade agreements. Again, they are doing this to reduce custom duties and other trade barriers. Okay. And the third one is the custom unions. Okay. So leaders and uh, members of these countries represent, okay, uh, to meet together to cooperate and design lesser policy or restrictions on entry and exit of goods or services in that country. Again, to lessen the restriction. Another level is common market. Okay, so a market composed of member countries and they share market with unrestricted movement of goods. Okay. Next is monetary unions. It involves the creation of unified central bank. They are going to use only one currency. This is only common in Europe. Okay, so they're using euro dollars. Okay, so why they are doing this? It helps reduce transaction costs or conversion rate problems. Okay, how many currencies do we have all over the world? It's 180 currency, and the highest currency is Kuwaiti dinar. Why? Because they are very rich in terms of oil reservoir. Okay. Next, we have the political unions. Okay. It represents the highest level of integration. So, association of presidents, association of prime minister, association of kings and queens. Okay, so they are the governing bodies, legislative bodies, and enforcement powers. Okay, so I think that will be the end of our discussion. Okay, so these are some of the additional resources that you may read to furtherly understand how this trends, how this dynamic environment affects the decision making of a company to satisfy customers. Okay, so that marketing environment must be understood to help firm identify which strategies or effort to influence consumer perception of a brand or price relative to the target customer. So it is more beneficial for the firms to know some changes in international trading to position, that's the key word, to position its resources and capabilities in the competition. So as they say, changes in inevitable, so as the process of improving company profile towards achievement of global advancement and profitability must be continuous. Okay? I hope that understanding the different changes of international market, the trends, okay, and how to integrate and how you could be able to solve or position company resources in the competition would enlighten you in your future career. Okay, so this understanding of international marketing dynamic environments, okay, will give you intelligent insights of what could be the possible changes and how are you going to anticipate this kind of changes. Okay, so I hope you learned a lot, and if you have any further questions and clarifications, okay, just send me a message and I'll be gladly to address your concerns. Thank you very much.